I bought a rusted armored spaceship for $8. The surprise inside was unreal. The dusty sun filtered through the window of Talon's small apartment, catching on stacks of old magazines, broken gadgets, and bits of metal that had no purpose, at least to anyone else. Talon, however, saw possibility in every piece of discarded machinery. Ever since childhood, he had loved old technology. Space junk, abandoned ships, broken robots. He didn't care what it was. If it had a story, he wanted it. On this quiet afternoon, he sat at his creaky desk, scrolling through a second-hand auction website on his tablet. Most items were worthless. Rusted tools, cracked glass, faded uniforms. But then, one listing caught his eye. It was a spaceship. Not a sleek new model, not the kind people paid millions for, but an old armored transport, rusted, dented, and covered in layers of grime. The pictures were barely recognizable. Panels were missing, and the metal was corroded in places. The cockpit windows were cracked. Some of the ship's nameplate was gone, leaving only faded letters that read Arion something. And the price? $8. 8. Talon's heart raced. Who in their right mind would sell a spaceship for $8? Most people wouldn't even pay $8 for a proper set of tools. The thought of what might be inside made him lean closer to the screen. "This is insane," he muttered to himself. It could be junk, but what if it's not? He scrolled through the description. The seller warned that the ship was old and neglected, had been sitting in a scrapyard for decades, and might not even fly. "Buyer beware," it said. Ships sold as is. Rusted, broken, and abandoned. Talon's fingers hovered over the place bid button. Normally, he didn't gamble on big purchases. But something about this ship pulled at him, a mix of curiosity and excitement that he hadn't felt in years. Finally, with a deep breath, he tapped the button. $8, he whispered. The confirmation popped up immediately. He had won $8. A spaceship. His spaceship. The following week felt like a blur. A massive transport truck delivered the ship to the edge of the abandoned space dock near the city. Talon had never seen it in person. His heart thumped as he approached. The ship was bigger than he imagined. Rust streaked across the armored hull, and chunks of metal looked like they might fall off if touched. The hatch was dented, and the engines were covered with grime. But despite all the damage, the ship had a certain presence, a feeling that it had seen the stars and survived battles he could only dream of. Talon ran his hands along the hull. The metal was cold and rough. $8, he said again, smiling. $8, and I get this? He circled the ship, examining every panel, every dent, every scratch. Most of the ports and panels were sealed shut, but one small section caught his eye, a square compartment near the rear, clearly locked, with a faded label that read, "Property of the Ancients." Talon's curiosity spiked. "Ancients," he muttered. He had heard legends of civilizations long gone, tech that was far beyond human understanding. If this ship really had a connection to them, well, that was almost unbelievable. He tried the compartment, but the lock wouldn't budge. Talon frowned. "I'll need tools for this," he said. But first, the cockpit. The cockpit was dark and smelled of old metal and oil. Talon pushed open the hatch and carefully climbed inside. The seats were cracked, the controls were dusty, and wires hung loose from the panels. Yet, something about the cockpit felt alive. He pressed buttons, flipped switches, and nothing happened. Most of the screens were dead. But then, deep in the console, a faint blue light flickered. Talon leaned closer. A hum filled the cockpit, soft at first, then louder. "What the?" he whispered. The light pulsed, and a small holographic display projected above the main panel. Symbols he didn't recognize floated in the air, moving like they had a mind of their own. Talon leaned in, trying to make sense of the shapes. They twisted and reformed, almost as if the ship was greeting him. He tapped the panel. The symbols rearranged themselves into shapes that resembled letters. Slowly, painfully, they formed words in his language. "Welcome, Keeper." "Me?" His hand shook. This ship, it's talking to me." A map appeared in front of him. A star system, unknown to him, lit up with tiny, blinking points. One planet glowed brighter than the rest, almost like it was calling to him. He stared at it. "I don't even know where this is or why it matters," he said aloud. But a part of him already knew. Whatever was inside this rusted $8 ship, it was important. Talon spent hours exploring the interior. Rust crunched under his boots as he moved through corridors. He found storage rooms filled with dust-covered tools, ancient manuals written in a language he didn't recognize, and strange devices that hummed faintly when he approached. One room, smaller than the rest, was locked with a panel almost identical to the one outside. This one had a keypad, but no numbers. Instead, symbols glowed faintly when he touched them. The hum from the ship seemed to get louder as he experimented with the symbols. Hours passed, and night fell outside the dock. The city lights cast shadows across the ship's hull. Talon, exhausted but exhilarated, sat in the cockpit. He stared at the glowing map, wondering what he had just bought. $8, he whispered again. $8 for something incredible. A sudden thought struck him. What if the ship wasn't just abandoned? What if it had a purpose, a mission it had been waiting for someone to complete? The idea made his heart race. He remembered the compartment outside, the one labeled Property of the Ancients. He had no key, no codes, no way of opening it. At least not yet. But now, he had hope. The ship had chosen him, or at least, it seemed that way. The hum was not just a machine. It was something more. Something that responded to him. Talon leaned back in the cracked pilot's seat and let out a long sigh. He could barely sleep that night, tossing and turning as images of distant stars, strange planets, and glowing alien symbols filled his mind. He dreamed of flying, of exploring, of discovering something humans had never seen before. By morning, he had made a plan. He would clean the ship, repair what he could, and try to wake it fully. He didn't know what he would find inside that mysterious compartment, but he knew one thing. His life had changed forever. That rusted, $8 spaceship was not just a bargain. It was a doorway. And somewhere deep in its metal and circuits, the ship seemed to know that its journey was just beginning. Talon woke early the next morning, his mind still buzzing with the hum of the spaceship. The city outside was quiet, and the dock was empty, except for the occasional sound of distant engines or seagulls calling. He hurried back to the ship, a mix of excitement and nervousness in his chest. Today, he thought, he would finally find out what was inside that locked compartment. He grabbed his toolkit, a small backpack filled with sensors, wires, and repair gadgets, and approached the mysterious square compartment at the rear of the ship. The metal was cold under his hands, and the lock still looked impossible to open. But Talon was nothing if not stubborn. He pressed a few buttons he had noticed on the panel, jiggled the lock, and tapped the symbols he had seen in the cockpit last night. The compartment clicked. The door slowly slid open, revealing a small sphere, about the size of a basketball. It was smooth, shiny, and covered with tiny panels that reflected the morning sunlight. Dust covered it, and small scratches showed it had been inside the ship for decades, untouched. Talon carefully picked it up. "What are you?" he whispered. The sphere was heavy, but light enough to hold in one hand. As he brushed off some of the dust, a faint light glowed from a seam across its middle. The hum in the ship changed, growing louder, more alive. Then, suddenly, a soft voice spoke. "Human." Talon jumped back. His heart raced, and he nearly dropped the sphere. The voice was calm, even gentle, but it carried authority. I didn't know you could talk," Talon stammered. "Human," the sphere repeated. Then the words slowly became clearer, forming sentences he could understand. "You are Keeper." "Chosen." Talon blinked. "Chosen? Chosen for what?" The sphere didn't answer immediately. Instead, it projected a faint holographic light in front of him. Symbols swirled, shifting and forming shapes he had never seen before. Then, gradually, they transformed into words and diagrams. "This ship belongs to an ancient civilization," the sphere explained. "It has been dormant, waiting for one capable, one who can think, adapt, and understand." Talon's mind raced. An ancient civilization? A ship waiting for him? It sounded impossible. But the ship itself, the hum, the lights, the holographic displays, told him it was true. Wait, so this ship, it's alive? He asked. In a way, the sphere replied. It responds to actions, to creativity, to decisions. Alone, it cannot achieve its full potential. Talon stared at the sphere, trying to take it all in. For years, he had dreamed of finding something incredible, something no one else could even imagine. And now, here it was, talking to him, explaining itself. He spent hours exploring the sphere's abilities. It could project maps of nearby star systems, analyze energy sources, and even scan the ship for damage. Talon experimented, pressing buttons, moving levers, and watching in awe as the ship responded. Despite the rust and decay, the engines hummed to life, lights blinked, and the control panels came alive with glowing symbols. "This is amazing," Talon said, laughing in disbelief. He had never seen anything like this in his life. The sphere guided him carefully. "The ship can fly. It can travel faster than conventional engines, but it requires coordination. Your decisions, your creativity, your human intuition, they are needed." "Human intuition?" Talon asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, this ship was designed for beings who can adapt, who can think outside patterns. You can do this. Others cannot." The words made Talon feel proud but also nervous. Responsibility pressed on him. He wasn't sure he was ready for this. But one look at the glowing sphere, rolling slightly in his hands, made him realize he had no choice. He had been chosen. Over the next few days, Talon worked tirelessly on the ship. He cleaned rusted panels, repaired broken circuits, and even rigged improvised tools to test the engines. Each time he made a change, the ship responded. Lights flickered in patterns, holograms displayed new routes, and the sphere sometimes hummed in approval. Despite the advanced technology, the ship was not perfect. Ancient machines had their own quirks, and Talon found that sometimes the sphere couldn't solve every problem. He had to improvise. If a wire was missing, he created a substitute. If a lever jammed, he built a mechanical workaround. Slowly, the ship began to feel less like a relic and more like a living, breathing partner. One evening, after a long day of repairs, Talon sat in the cockpit, exhausted. The sphere hovered beside him, lights dimming softly. "You've done well," it said, "but there is more. Something requires your attention. A planet, distant, unknown. It has been in danger. The ship's mission is incomplete." Talon's heart raced. Danger? What kind of danger? The sphere projected a holographic star system. One planet glowed brighter than the rest, surrounded by faint rings of light. This colony, they are human. Their location is secret. They have been waiting. You must go. "Why me?" Talon asked, leaning forward. He could barely believe what he was seeing. "Because you can think beyond the programming," the sphere replied. "You can adapt. You can solve problems the ancients could not predict. You are human. And humans are capable of the unexpected." Talon's mind spun. He had always thought humans were limited, fragile compared to advanced civilizations. But the sphere's words rang true. Humans could improvise, imagine, create, and apparently, that was exactly what this ship needed. The next few hours passed in a blur. Talon plotted courses, ran simulations, and tested the engines. The rusted ship, the one bought for $8, began to move smoothly. Panels that were once stuck slid open. Lights blinked in sequences he didn't fully understand. The engines roared, not with power, but with potential. As night fell, the stars outside the dock seemed brighter. Talon looked out, imagining the journey ahead. He could see the distant planet in his mind's eye, glowing like a beacon. Somewhere out there, humans awaited help. And somehow, this rusted ship and he were the answer. The sphere spoke softly, almost like a whisper. "You are ready. Soon, but first, trust yourself. Creativity, courage, thinking differently. These will guide you. I'll do my best. I think I can." And then, a sudden alert sounded from the ship's console. A hidden compartment opened by itself. Inside were dozens of small modules, glowing softly. The sphere explained that they were autonomous repair drones, each capable of fixing and adjusting parts of the ship during flight. Talon realized that the ancients had built a perfect balance, advanced technology, but one that relied on human ingenuity to activate fully. "This is unreal," Talon muttered, picking up one of the drones. It hovered gently in front of him, responsive to his gestures. "All of this, it's waiting for someone like me." Hours passed, and Talon barely noticed. The sphere and the ship seemed to merge with his own energy, guiding his hands, teaching him the secrets hidden in every panel and lever. Slowly, he began to understand. The ship wasn't just a vehicle. It was a puzzle, a partner, a challenge, and he was ready to solve it. By dawn, the repairs were almost complete. The rusted hull gleamed faintly under the rising sun. Lights shimmered across the panels, and the engines hummed steadily, waiting for their first flight. Talon stepped back and looked at the ship, at the sphere floating beside him, and felt a surge of pride and anticipation. "You really are something," he said softly. "I can't wait to see what we can do together." The sphere pulsed with light, almost like a smile. "The journey begins soon. But first, you must learn to trust yourself and to see the possibilities where others see only rust." Talon nodded, staring at the distant stars beyond the dock. Somewhere, out there, humans were waiting. And with this ship, he was going to reach them, not just with engines or speed, but with creativity, courage, and human ingenuity. For the first time in his life, Talon understood something important. Humans were more than fragile, limited beings. They could surprise even the most advanced civilizations, and this rusted, $8 spaceship was about to prove it. The dock was quiet as Talon prepared the ship for departure. The morning sun glinted off the rusted metal, making it look almost golden in the light. The AI sphere hovered beside him, pulsing softly with a calm blue glow, as if reassuring him that everything was ready. "You are certain you are ready?" the sphere asked. Talon ran a hand through his hair, staring at the distant stars beyond the dock. I think so." "The ship's fixed. The drones are ready. And I've got a plan." Plans are helpful, but sometimes only creativity and intuition will save you. "I'll keep that in mind." He climbed into the cockpit and strapped in. The controls, once foreign and confusing, now felt like extensions of his own hands. He flicked switches, monitored glowing panels, and finally pressed the main engine ignition. A low rumble filled the ship, vibrating through every panel. Then, slowly, the ship lifted off the dock. The city disappeared below, shrinking into a patchwork of streets and lights. Talon's heart raced as he navigated the ship out of the atmosphere. For the first time, the rusted vessel was free, soaring among the stars. "Destination?" he asked the sphere. The AI projected the holographic map again. The distant planet glowed faintly, surrounded by a nebula of swirling light. "This planet is in danger," the sphere said. "A storm approaches. Even the ship's systems alone cannot navigate it. You must guide us." Talon's stomach tightened. "A storm? How bad?" The holographic display shifted, showing massive streaks of plasma and swirling clouds of energy. The storm was enormous, unpredictable, and glowing with strange colors. "It's huge," Talon whispered. "Nothing I've ever seen." The ship's hum changed, sensing the danger ahead. Talon realized the AI could predict patterns, but the storm's chaos was too irregular for any computer alone. Only a human mind, thinking creatively, could guide them safely. "All right," Talon said, gripping the controls. "Let's do this." Lightning-like bursts of energy cracked across the clouds, sending waves of turbulence through the vessel. Panels flickered, lights blinked, and the hum became almost a roar. Talon's hands moved quickly, adjusting levers, rerouting energy to shields, and manipulating the ancient controls in ways the AI could not anticipate. "You're doing well," the sphere said. "But the storm shifts unpredictably. Trust yourself." He remembered how he had improvised repairs in the dock, how he had used simple tools to fix impossible problems. Now, that same creativity was his greatest weapon. He imagined pathways through the storm, adjusting energy flows in real time. Every decision, every slight movement of a lever kept the ship from being struck or thrown off course. Hours passed like minutes. The storm raged, but Talon's intuition guided them. The ship seemed to respond to him, the hum aligning with his thoughts. At one point, a massive plasma burst slammed into the outer shields. The metal groaned, and sparks flew across the cockpit. Talon instinctively rerouted energy, diverting power to the shields and using the drones to reinforce weak panels. "Almost there," he muttered. Come on. Come on." Finally, the storm began to thin. The chaotic clouds gave way to empty space, and Talon could see the planet in the distance. It glowed softly, peaceful, and untouched, a stark contrast to the raging storm they had just escaped. "We made it," he said, breathing heavily. The sphere pulsed in agreement. "You did it," it said. Human ingenuity, unmatched by any programming. Talon leaned back, heart pounding with adrenaline. He had flown a ship through a storm that would have destroyed most vessels. Not the ship, not this time. Not with him at the helm. As they approached the planet, the AI began to explain. "This colony, humans have lived here for generations. They are isolated, hidden from the wider galaxy. They face a threat, not a war, not an enemy, but environmental collapse. The planet's energy fields are unstable. Only the ship's technology, combined with your adaptability, can stabilize it." Talon's mind raced. Energy fields. What do I need to do? The AI projected a complex network of glowing nodes around the planet. "You must direct energy from the ship into these points. Timing and adaptation are critical. One mistake, and the stabilization fails." "Okay, I can do this." He maneuvered the ship into orbit, carefully positioning it over the glowing nodes. The AI provided guidance, but every adjustment, every minor correction relied on Talon's judgment. He rerouted power, adjusted shields, and activated the drones to assist. Slowly, the nodes began to glow steadily, their chaotic energy calming. The colony below had noticed. From tiny observation posts, humans looked up at the glowing ship in awe. They had heard stories of a guardian vessel, but no one had ever seen it. And now, a lone human pilot was saving them, using both the ship's ancient technology and his own mind. Hours passed. Talon moved from node to node, reacting to changes in energy flow, improvising where needed, and following the AI's guidance when appropriate. Finally, the last node stabilized. The energy fields around the planet smoothed out, glowing softly, a sign that the colony was safe. Talon exhaled deeply. "We did it," he said, smiling. The sphere hovered close, pulsing brightly. "Yes," it said. "But this is only the beginning. The ship is alive, but only because of your human intuition. You have unlocked potential that even the ancients could not fully control." The planet below was safe, but Talon knew there was more to explore. The ship hummed as if eager, its energy responding to him. The drones floated silently, ready to assist, and the AI, once a dormant sphere hidden in a rusted compartment, had become a partner and a guide. Talon felt a thrill unlike anything before. He had always believed humans were limited, fragile compared to advanced civilizations. But here, in the cockpit of a rusted ship that had cost $8, he realized something important. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of surprising even the most advanced technology. The colony sent messages of thanks, but Talon barely noticed. His attention was on the ship, on the stars, and on the possibilities that awaited. Somewhere out there, more challenges would appear. More mysteries, more ancient technology, more problems that could only be solved by a human mind. The sphere spoke again. "The ship has recognized you as its pilot. But remember, your greatest strength is not the engines, not the shields, not even the drones. It is your creativity, your ability to think beyond limits. You are human. That is enough." Talon smiled. "I get it. I really get it now." As the sun rose over the colony planet, Talon piloted the ship higher, into open space. The storm behind them was gone, the danger past, and the planet below glowed peacefully. But the galaxy was vast, full of unknown stars and uncharted systems, and somewhere, in the darkness, new challenges awaited. The rusted $8 ship was no longer a relic. It was a vessel of discovery, powered by human ingenuity, guided by courage, and alive with potential. Talon leaned back in his seat, feeling the hum of the ship beneath him. He could see new star systems, planets, and cosmic clouds stretching across the horizon. He could feel the energy of the ship, responding to him, learning from him, thriving because of him. "This is just the start," he whispered. "There's so much out there, and we're ready for it." The sphere pulsed brightly, almost as if smiling. "Yes, Keeper, the universe awaits. And humans will continue to surprise it." The star stretched endlessly before Talon as he piloted the ship through the void. The rusted hull, once battered and forgotten, now gleamed faintly in the starlight, alive with energy and hums of power. The sphere hovered beside him, pulsing softly, a steady presence in the cockpit. Everything had changed since that first day at the dock. The ship, bought for a mere $8, had become a partner, a vessel of wonder, and proof that humans could unlock potential even the ancients could not. Then the signal appeared. At first, it was subtle, faint blips on the sensor screen, but within seconds, the pattern grew, strange energy readings that twisted and pulsed in ways the AI could barely analyze. The sphere hummed nervously. "I've never seen this before," it said. "It is not from any known civilization. It is something else." Talon leaned forward, gripping the controls. "Something else?" he echoed. "What do you mean?" The sphere's glow flickered. "It behaves like a puzzle. An unknown code embedded in energy waves. The ship can detect it, but cannot interpret it fully. Only a human mind, creative, adaptive, may understand it." Talon's heart raced. A puzzle sent by the universe itself? It was unbelievable, but exhilarating. He adjusted the ship's course toward the signal, watching as streaks of energy danced across the sensors, forming patterns he could barely comprehend. "This is incredible," he whispered. "I don't even know where to start." The sphere's voice was calm. "Start with observation. Look for patterns. Experiment. Think differently." Talon nodded, taking a deep breath. He studied the blips, tracing them on the holographic display. At first, the patterns seemed random. Pulses of light, arcs of energy, waves that crossed and collided. But slowly, his mind began to notice small consistencies, repeating shapes, mirrored sequences, a rhythm hidden in the chaos. He moved levers, adjusted panels, and activated the drones to interact with the energy waves. Tiny beams of light shot out from the ship, weaving through the pulsing signal, probing it, testing its reactions. The ship hummed in response, as if alive, adapting to his decisions. Hours passed. Talon's fingers ached from constant adjustments. His eyes burned from staring at the shifting lights. But finally, he felt it. The signal was responding to him. When he adjusted the energy flow, the pulses aligned. When he rerouted power, the patterns became predictable. Slowly, a shape began to form in the holographic display, a map, or perhaps a message. "It's a star map," Talon whispered, astonished. "It's pointing somewhere." The sphere pulsed excitedly. "Yes, an unknown system, coordinates not in any record. A location hidden for millennia. Something is waiting there." He had thought the adventure was over when he saved the colony planet. But this was beyond anything he had imagined. The universe itself had sent a challenge, and only a human could solve it. He adjusted the ship, following the star map through uncharted space. The journey was unlike anything he had experienced. Cosmic clouds swirled around them, strange gravitational waves tugged at the ship, and bursts of unknown energy lit the void. Yet, with every obstacle, Talon's creativity and intuition guided them. The AI provided guidance, but it was his decisions, his improvisation, and his human ingenuity that kept the ship on course. Finally, they arrived. A massive structure floated in the void, unlike anything Talon had seen. It shimmered with energy, a giant crystalline formation surrounded by fields of light. The surface was etched with symbols, glowing faintly, forming patterns that seemed almost alive. "It's incredible," Talon whispered, pressing his hand against the console. The ship hummed in response, as if agreeing. The sphere hovered closer, is the heart of an ancient civilization. But not just any civilization, this was a test, a trial left by those who came before. They wanted to see if beings could adapt, learn, and unlock potential beyond programming. Humans have passed. Passed? Yes, the sphere said. By using creativity, courage, and intuition, by thinking differently, you have awakened something even the ancients could not fully control. The crystalline structure pulsed, sending waves of energy toward the ship. The hull vibrated, lights flickered, and the drones floated outward, connecting with the structure. Talon felt a surge of energy pass through the cockpit, almost like the ship was merging with the structure. "Hold on," he said, gripping the controls. The energy was overwhelming, yet exhilarating. Colors danced across the panels, symbols swirled, and a new map appeared, a network of star systems, planets, and routes humans had never explored. It's giving us knowledge," Talon whispered. "It's showing us everything." Yes, you have unlocked the full potential of the ship. It is no longer just a vessel. It is a key, a guide, a bridge to exploration and discovery. Humans, you are ready. Talon felt a sense of awe, unlike anything he had ever experienced. The ship, the sphere, the structure, it all merged into a single purpose. Humans, through ingenuity and courage, had awakened something incredible. Something that would change their place in the galaxy forever. He looked out at the stars, now illuminated with pathways and destinations. Worlds waiting to be explored. Mysteries waiting to be solved. And he, a single human piloting a rusted ship bought for $8, had become the first to unlock it. "Let's go," he said, voice steady but filled with excitement. "Let's see what's out there." The ship responded instantly. Panels shimmered, engines hummed, and the drones formed a protective pattern around the hull. The AI sphere glowed brightly, guiding the energy streams and coordinating systems. Talon felt a surge of pride. This was not just a victory of technology. It was a victory of human thought, imagination, and determination. As they left the crystalline structure, the map projected by the ship revealed countless possibilities. Distant planets with hidden life, star systems rich with energy, ancient artifacts waiting to be discovered. Talon realized that the universe was not just a place to survive. It was a playground for human creativity. The colony planet they had saved appeared in the distance, glowing softly. Talon remembered the humans below, looking up in awe at the strange ship that had appeared out of nowhere. He smiled, knowing that their journey would inspire others, showing that humans could achieve the impossible. "You did well," the sphere said. "But remember, the universe is vast. New challenges will arise, but you, humans, will continue to surprise it." Talon nodded. "I know, and we'll be ready." For the first time, the rusted $8 spaceship was more than a ship. It was a symbol, a testament to human creativity, courage, and ingenuity. It had been underestimated, discarded, and left to rust. But humans had shown that even the simplest, most overlooked things could hold unimaginable power. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of light and possibility. Talon gripped the controls, feeling the hum of the ship beneath him, alive with potential. Somewhere in the vastness of space, new mysteries awaited. New worlds, new challenges, new adventures. And he, a human with an ordinary past, had become the first to unlock a gateway to the stars. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "The universe is ours to explore." The sphere pulsed brightly beside him, almost like a smile. Talon laughed, feeling the thrill of adventure, the pride of achievement, and the certainty that humans, resourceful, brave, unpredictable humans, could face any challenge, conquer any obstacle, and unlock even the greatest mysteries of the cosmos. The rusted ship, once forgotten, now soared among the stars, a beacon of hope, discovery, and the limitless potential of humanity. And as Talon piloted it into uncharted space, he knew one thing for certain, and the universe would never be the same again. The end.